AskReddit by Shark Boy. Were you ever that 1 in 1 million? If so, what's your story? I am a 19-year-old male. In August of last year, I was driving with my sister, when suddenly her face turned cold. "Gavin, your eyes are yellow," I remember her saying. I quickly pulled down the passenger's mirror, and to my horror, 2 yellow eyes radiated back at me. Fast forward, I spent a month being sick. The initial diagnosis was hepatitis A. Went back to the doctor, nothing was better, things were worse in fact. Was sent to the ER, then to the liver transplant unit at UCSF. By this point my eyes had turned muddy orange, and my pee was the color of a mahogany tree. Anyways, the team of liver doctors at UCSF managed to save my liver. I was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis. Oh, and my eyes are white again. Deleted. Deleted. What did you say to him the second time? For my 7th birthday we went to Disneyland. They just happened to be having a car a day giveaway when we were there. For my 7th birthday, Mickey Mouse gave me a Pontiac Firebird. Do you still have the car? I'm allergic to potatoes. Never met someone else who is, so I guess it's 1 in a million. Never eaten chips or fries. Not me, but my mom is allergic to potatoes. Never met someone else with a potato allergy except my mom. Wow. I was diagnosed with leukemia. I got a bacteria growth which killed the leukemia. A real 1 in 1 million chance. Edit. I almost died thanks to that bacteria though. Edit. THX for the silver and gold kind strangers. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. When I was a kid, I was chilling in the water of the Mediterranean Sea in Turkey. Suddenly I felt an awful burning sensation on my stomach and my legs. I looked like I had been brutally sandpapered and I got a 40° C, 104° F fever. Turns out I made contact with a jellyfish, and later found out that it hadn't happened on that beach for 10 years or so. I was just extremely unlucky. What beach was it? I got a really minor jellyfish sting when I lived in Turkey also. No idea on the rarity at that beach though. I was in 2 separate car crashes in 2 separate cars in less than 45 minutes apart. Also, go you, Shark Boy. Edit. I wasn't the driver for either crash. First car was hit from the side. Friend came and picked us up. Car lost traction and we slid off the road and hit a pole. Neither was that bad, just poor timing. I was 2. If you count the ambulance. Someone pulled out in front of me and I hit them because I had no time to brake. Had some bad back pain, so an ambulance took me to the hospital. On the way there, someone pulled out in front of them. I slept wrong one night and pinched a nerve in my neck so severely I lost the right side of my body. It just went silent like it wasn't there for months. I woke up in the worst pain I've ever experienced and couldn't talk, move or do anything. The ER doctor thought I was having a stroke. My doctor had never seen a case as severe as mine and it was purely a freak accident. Recovery took months, but I have use of my leg and hand again, with some numbness. Other than pain and spasms, I'm mostly back to normal. I hate reading stuff like this. If you're not safe lying asleep on a mattress, where are you safe? ? A bird got into my room through a tiny hole in the ceiling and took a shit on me. Burb. https://cdn.discord.app.com/attachments/43096799764611072/54802714072/snapchat-9389688.jpg hole in ceiling https://cdn.discordapp.com/attachments /43096799764611072 /548027360176242688 /JPEG_20190221_172447.jpg close bracket. He looks so angry that he got caught lol. The first one, I don't know about the exact odds, but I was born on the 7th of July 1977 and weighed 7 pounds and amp. 7 ounces. Sadly though, I clocked in at 6:50 am. The other is that around the age of 14 I started to notice the outsides of both of my feet starting to get much wider. After a couple of years of buying expensive custom-made shoes, they decided to perform surgery on my feet. Turned out I had extra muscle growth along with something else I don't recall at the moment. My podiatrist told me he submitted a scholarly article on it. May also have been genetic, as when my dad was 3, he developed an extra toe growing out of each one of his big toes. What? At 3? I knew you could develop extra toes as a fetus, but at 3? Criminy. Is no one safe? I've got the middle toes on both feet webbed. So did Stalin. Quack. This feels like a fun fact but at the same time a threat. I passed out from laughing too hard once. It was truly a 1 in a million thing. When I was a teenager, I had just started working at the local Sears Auto Center Express Lube shop, and on day 1 did a quick orientation and my first oil change. The manager walked away when he felt I was good to go and the oil change went well. Fast forward a few days later, my manager asked me to come into his office and he explained that the oil filter I had used had one huge flaw. I didn't know what that was, and it turned out the filter was pressed on backwards into the filter can and it wouldn't allow oil to flow in and it damaged the motor. They had to purchase a new motor for the person and I still kept my job. He said it was a 1 in a million chance that would have happened, and it did on my first oil change. They have insurance for a reason. All sorts of weird stuff happened at our Walmart. Defective tires, filters, oil, you name it. They don't hold the employees accountable for their weird stuff. Deleted. 1 in 1.6 million of being over 7 feet tall. 1 in 2 of being asked how's the weather up there. I have the rarest type of synesthesia, lexical gustatory. It means I taste words. What's it like? With food words I'd imagine you'd taste the food, but what do numbers taste like? Colors? Nouns? Do people's names have a taste? Sorry for the spam, but this sounds so darn cool. Deleted. I am allergic to the cold, like literally I get intense hives, swelling, I pass out, and throw up. Doesn't even have to be freezing. Below 45 degrees without a jacket and I can't do it. I have to carry an EpiPen with me in the event that I drink something too cold or have a severe reaction. Edit. Thank you, kind stranger, for my first silver. Please tell me you moved somewhere warm. Born with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. Had surgery at the age of 17. Many people don't have that diagnosis until they are old and grey. I had a freak accident that revealed it. Thanks everyone for the comments. After reading so many comments about people having WPW, or have a loved one with it, I'm now curious as to why there is no subreddit for it. It's apparent little is known about WPW, too many. Deleted. Bought $3 worth of pong balls at one of those games at the state fair. I think it was 10 balls, and the grand prize is in the middle and you have to land it in a small glass container. I was having fun and just decided to throw it by flicking my wrist in a weird way. It bounced around for a while and landed right in the red glass container, which was the grand prize. Even the worker was surprised that I got it. Had to walk around the state fair with a giant charm and a plush toy after that. That is a success. Not quite 1 in a million, but close enough. As a child, I had an extremely rare autoimmune disease. On top of having an extremely rare illness, I developed the rarer and most dangerous of the symptoms. My kidneys started shutting down. Most kids recover from this disease, but not always the ones with kidney issues. I was extremely lucky. I did not have to go on dialysis, and my kidneys eventually reached normal functioning levels. It took a decade to be completely cleared of the disease. My mother likes to call me a miracle child not only because of this, but because she was not supposed to be able to have a kid due to health issues, and had several miscarriages before my stubborn ass decided to be born. Weird shit. I was born 1 pound and 6 ounces in 1998. Doctor said I had like a 15% of surviving or something like that. They also said that if I did survive I would have been a vegetable. So months pass. Funny thing was I came out of the hospital on the day I was due, came out in February, left the hospital in June, while I am still forming as a baby, and it's 20 years later and I'm alive and healthy. I can walk, talk and all the normal things. Only thing really wrong with me is my right eye is hanging on a thread cause of reasons, and I'm socially autistic. I guess that's 1 in 1 million. I'm curious about your reasons. I once guessed a 6-digit random combination on the first try. It was the only try I planned to give, as a kind of scratchpad whatever moment. What was it? I had 8 wisdom teeth. The dentist had never seen anything like it and called the whole office in to marvel at my teeth. Edit. Can't find the x-ray but I still have the teeth. https://imgur.com/vnrl6jf. I had one in my sinus cavity. I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia on my 12th birthday. It turned out that my sister was almost an identical match for the bone marrow transplant I needed, 99.7%, and she is 14 years older than me. From what I was told, this type of match can only be found with identical twins. A year later, after remission, I developed a disease, GVHD, because of the bone marrow transplant I received. The same thing that saved my life also made the rest of it extremely difficult, but I'm still here. Had pique glandular fever when I was 16, nothing special about that. Had pneumonia a few months later, probably due to my weak immune system from the first disease, which caused my lungs to collapse, very unlikely for a 17-year-old. The hospital I was in couldn't do any more for me, so another hospital came with a rescue team of 8 people and a heart-lung machine. ECMO, very rare that hospitals have those that can be transported. The hospital only used it the second time and the first time successfully, to pick me up. They brought me to the other hospital. I was in a coma for a couple more days but made it out of hospital within 3 weeks after that, just before Christmas. A big newspaper wanted the story for Christmas miracles, but no, thanks. Got a rare but potentially deadly rash from a medication. I laughed when I first saw the bottle with the warning, and said knowing my luck I'd get it. I did. Ended up in a burn unit with my skin sloughing off, not a fun week. Edit. Holy shit, big response. It's been amazing to hear how many people have similar stories, and are taking meds with high risk. And for those wondering what med? It was lamictal lamotrigine for me. Stephen Johnson's uterus ruptured into my bladder after birth of my youngest. It was 1 stroke 4 in away from a major artery. Nearly died. Wow, the human body sucks at giving birth : Hope you're better now. I own a Lego minifigure called Mr. Gold. This particular minifig was to celebrate the 10th series of the Lego figurine line. They are sort of like grab bags. You can feel for them but you don't know what minifigure you're really going to get. So because they were celebrating, they thought it was a good idea to only make $5,000 of these. Anyways, when I was younger and even now I was really good knowing which figures they are simply by looking at the figures pieces and feeling out those pieces. I really like the minifigures cause I thought they were really cool and unique, so I really wanted Mr. Gold, and me and my mom hunted for it for a long time, but after a while I gave up. Then one day I was at the Lego store and felt a distinct diamond piece and freaked out. Finding this figure was a downright fantasy. I'm 18 now and still want to relive 12-year-old me's pure joy as he opened the packaging. Edit. Thanks for making me Mr. Gold twice. Also 2 words. Deleted. I was kidnapped when leaving work and held for 18 months, along with 2 other girls. The guy who took us claimed himself to be an ineffable lower god, and used cult tactics, manipulation and control to have us be his family. I was allowed to leave to the grocery store as an errand, but knew if I didn't come back the others would receive my punishment. I finally got away by stabbing my captor when I believed he was going to kill me. Edit. I did a podcast about the experience, and if you'd like to give it a listen, go check out https://martwisthatlike.com/22. Wow, this is an amazing story. I'm so glad you're here to tell it. I wasn't kidnapped, but I was held miserably in a basement from kindergarten to 4th grade, physically abused, starved, and more. I always fantasized about getting away by stabbing them, but I never did. It's so amazing you are alive. I hope you do have support in your life now. My ex was struck by lightning several times and lived. Died in a car accident though, so not as lucky as he claimed to be. Life's a bitch like that sometimes. Once read about a man that lived early last century who would let himself be locked in a wooden barrel, float it down the river and plummet off the Niagara Falls, just for the thrill. He made it out just fine and would repeat the stunt a few more times. That is, until he slipped over an orange peel, of all things, broke his neck and died. My dad once asked me for a quarter. I tossed it to him and it went directly into his shirt pocket. I was at a Metallica concert a few years ago. I was near the front and was super jealous when my friend I was with caught one of the guitar picks they throw out at the end of the show. While we were driving back, I had an itch under the pocket on my shirt and felt something in it. It was one of the guitar picks. My friend still had his. So James Hetfield threw a guitar pick from the stage directly into my shirt pocket. Blizzard gave me Overwatch for free for no reason, so that probably counts. That's dope. I'm a test tube baby and so is my fraternal twin, so yes. My younger brother is also a test tube baby. Deleted. I was on Tinder and was talking to this guy. He was supposed to meet me for dinner. I texted him and no answer. Then I texted him on Tinder. Said that he couldn't make it. However, I got a text back from the number. It wasn't the guy that I thought I texted. It was the actor Gerard Butler. I thought he was lying until he FaceTimed me. Nice guy. Edit. Well, I didn't think this post would blow up. First, I didn't go on a date with him instead. He lives on the West Coast and I live on the East Coast. I didn't keep his number because I respect his privacy. When he FaceTimed me, he was super casual and asked me why I was using Tinder and he wished me luck on it. Hi, sorry you have the wrong number. BTW, I'm Gerard Butler. Super early on in a previous relationship, my ex and I entered a contest and ended up winning a free wedding dress from David's Bridal. Me and my ex were in a bad place money wise and this seemed amazing, but it turned out we had to drive to another state to get it. We didn't have licenses or the money to even consider going there and back with a bus or cab or anything like that, so we, by which I mean I because she refused to talk on the phone ever, called and told them the situation, but insisted we show up in person. They gave it to someone else. On the flip side, it turned out to be a really abusive relationship and I'm glad I eventually got out. I went to Antarctica a few times. About 4,000 go a year, and there are 8B people, so that's like 1 in a million. This is my mum's story and I've posted it before, but she once called her friend, back in the day on the air online, and another lady answered. My mum asks if her friend was there and the lady says sure, I'll get her. My mum's friend hops on the phone and asks how she knew she was here. Turns out my mum got a number wrong when dialing. Called a random house where someone was hosting a Tupperware party and my mum's friend just happened to be attending it. What are the odds of that shit? Took me way too long to realize you meant how did she know she was here? I thought I was having a stroke lol. My brain kept trying to read it normally. Got into a car accident where my truck took out 2 power poles. Flipped a few times. I was ejected from the vehicle and it landed on top of me. I had hypothermia when they found me and airlifted me to the hospital. No major injuries other than a severe concussion and some minor internal contusions. I have no recollection of the incident because of the concussion. Not sure if my story counts, but hey, I'm alive haha. Aggressive fallopian tube cancer. 2 years later I had a malignant pleural tumor. Also have late diagnosis of stage 2 and 3 urogenital reflux, which is usually discovered before a kid is out of diapers. I was too old for the surgeons to fix it properly. Also I'm a redhead with blue eyes, hitchhiker thumb, double jointed and have double row of eyelashes. And my kid is a pretty close copy despite her bio dad having dominant genes. Half Japanese. One of my good friends got her PhD researching thyroid cancer treatments. Ended up getting thyroid cancer at the age of 31. WTF life. WTF. Removed. I was diagnosed with a rare cancer that happens in males more often than females. Usually happens to patients between 45 and 60 and happens in the abdomen or legs. I was a 34-year-old female and it happened in my right arm. For the record, diamond remission, but I couldn't believe I defied everything about the stupid fucker. Edit. Okay, I'm going to be that person. My first gold. Thank you, kind stranger. Does a random bank pin later on becoming the last 4 of your zip code XXXXXXXXXX, which was later became the numerical address I worked at, which then happened to a friend's birthday count? As a driver in Seattle, I use my turn signal. Are you insane? People could know when you're going to turn. At 24 I was learned that I had a cancer. They found out that this was a tumor that primarily grew in children. It's called medulloblastoma. It makes up 75% of brain tumors in children but is very rare in adults. It affects 1 in 1 million each year. I'm happy to say that I am currently 10 months cancer free after having 6 weeks of radiotherapy and 6 months of chemotherapy. I have completely unexplained hearing loss in my left ear. I had a cyst in it when I was 6, and the surgery to remove it and fix the ear was successful. When I was about 12, I woke up one morning with a killer headache and ear ringing, and after 3 days it went away and so did my hearing. Doctors did multiple examinations and an MRI and they said it should be totally functional. It just isn't 1 in a million case. Did your aunt ever look at steroids for sudden sensory neural hearing loss? I had almost the exact thing when I was 14. Woke up one day with ringing in my ear and by noon all sound was gone on my left side. I also had an MRI looking for a brain tumor, but they never found a cause. I was able to regain 50% hearing with a heavy regimen of steroids, but I know that treatment is less effective as time goes on. The weird thing is that SSHL occurs mostly in people in their 30s 60s, and when I had my hearing loss 2 other teens in my town also got very similar SSHL. My father is that. He had me at 17 and instead of continuing to make bad choices he became a doctor. What's it like having a dad so close to you in age? I haven't been 1 in a million to my knowledge, but I've been 1 in 10,000. https://xkcd.com/1053/ close Edit. Oh wait, I had my appendix removed, and when they went in they discovered that my appendix was in the complete wrong location, and apparently that's pretty darn rare. My friend had his appendix burst twice. They accidentally left a little behind on the first round, so the second time it happened everyone was very confused. Deleted. Every single time I get some kind of illness, every doctor I go to says they've never seen a case like mine before. Every fucking time. I'm really amused by the idea of you walking in with, like, a basic head cold and the doctor being baffled. Deleted. Link.